What's up, YouTube? It's Reggie, and today we're on Ezekiel 23. It says, "The word of Jehovah came unto me, saying, Son of man, there were two women, the daughters of one mother, and they played the harlot in Egypt. And they played the harlot in their youth, and they were breast pressed, and there was handled the bosom of their virginity. And the names of them were Oliah the elder, Oliabah, her sister, and they became mine, and they bear sons and daughters. And as for their names, Samaria is Allah, and Jerusalem is Allahabad." So he's using these sisters, these two women, as examples of Jerusalem and Samaria. Okay, it says, "And Oholoriah played the harlot when she was mine, and she died on her lovers and the Syrians and her neighbors, who were clothed with blue, and governors and rulers, all of them desirable young men, horsemen riding upon horses. And she bestowed her whoredoms upon them, the choicest men of Assyria, all of them, and on whomsoever she died, with all their idols she defiled herself. Neither have she left her whoredoms since the day of Egypt, for in her youth they lay with her, and they handled the bosom of her virginity. They poured out their whoredom upon her. Wherefore I delivered her into the land of her lovers, into the hands of Assyria, upon whom she doted. These uncovered her nakedness, and they took her sons and daughters, and her they slew with the sword, and she became a byword among women, for they executed judgments upon her." So, to summarize that, God took Samaria, they entered into the covenant, and they broke everything that God said to do, and they defiled themselves by going against how God says to live. Okay, now let's look at Jerusalem. "And her sister Allahabah saw this, and yet she was more corrupt than her daughter. And in her whoredoms which were more than the whoredoms of her sister. She died upon the Assyrians, governors and rulers, and her neighbors, clothed most gorgeously, horsemen riding upon horses, all of them desirable young men. And I saw that she was defiled. They both took one way. And she increased her whoredoms, for she saw men portrayed upon the wall, the images of the Chaldeans portrayed with vermilion, girded with girdles upon their loins, with flowing turbans upon their head, all of their princes to look upon, after the likeness of the Babylonians in Chaldea, the land of nativity. And as soon as she saw them, she doted upon them, and sent messengers unto them into the Chaldea. And the Babylonians came to her in the bed of love, and they defiled her with her whoredom, and she was polluted with them, and her soul was alienated from them." So every time she participates in these sins with these people that don't believe in God, you're pulling yourself away from God. It said, "Yet she multiplied her whoredoms, remaining the days of her youth, wherein she had played in the harlot in the land of Egypt. And she doted upon the paramos, whose flesh is as the flesh of asses, and whose issue is like the issues of horses. Thus thou callest to remembrance the lewdness of thy youth, and the handling of thy bosom by the Egyptians for the breast of thy youth." I think the takeaway that God is putting out here is that a lot of us choose to be like Jerusalem. We choose to enjoy our youth, quote unquote, like the world tells us to enjoy our youth, instead of living for God now. And we think that it's just going to be a time where we can just change and boom. But the more you participate in sin and willingly sinning, the more you pull yourself away from God, the harder it's going to be to get out of this bondage of these sins. Even walking with God, your sins don't just go away. You still battle with them. But the more you deepen that hole, you dig that hole from you, the more God has to unbury you. So it's like, don't keep putting yourself in a hole that God's freed you from. God's opened the door so you can walk out the door. Don't lock the door on God. And it says, "Therefore, O Alabiah, thus saith the Lord Jehovah, behold, I will rise up thy lovers against thee. From thy soul is alienated. I will bring them against thee on every side. The Babylonians, all the Chaldeans, Pekah, Shoa, Koa, and all the Assyrians with them. Desirable young men, governors and rulers, all of them, princes and men of renown, all of them riding upon horses. And they shall come against thee with weapons, chariots, wagons, and with a company of the people. They shall set themselves against thee with buckler and shield and helmet round about, and I will commit the judgments unto them, and they shall judge thee according to their judgments. I will set my jealousy against thee, and they shall deal with thee in fury. They shall take away thy nose and thy ears, and thy residue shall fall from the sword. They shall take thy sons and daughters, residue shall be devoured by the fire, and they shall also strip thee of thy clothes and take away thy fair jewels. Thus will I make lewdness to cease from thee, and thy whoredom brought from the land of Egypt, so that thou shalt not lift up thy eyes upon them, nor remember Egypt any more. For thus saith the Lord Jehovah, behold, I will deliver thee in the hands of them whom thou hast hated, in the land of them from whom thy soul is alienated. They shall deal with thee in hatred. They shall take away all thy labor, and they shall leave thee naked and bare. That the nakedness of thy whoredoms shall be uncovered, by both thy lewdness and thy whoredoms. These things shall be done unto thee, for thou hast played the harlot among the nations, and because thou art polluted with their idols, thou hast walked in the way of thy sister. Therefore will I give her cup into thy hand. Thus saith the Lord Jehovah, thou shalt drink of the sister's cup, which is deep and large. Thou shalt be laughed to scorn and hard in derision, and it containeth much. So you're drinking the cup of your own punishment because of what you condemned yourself to. Thou shalt be filled with drunkenness and sorrow, with the cup of astonishment and desolation, with the cup of thy sister Samaria. Thou shalt even drink and drain it out. And thou shalt gnaw the shreds thereof, and thou shalt tear thy breast. For I have spoken, it saith the Lord Jehovah. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Jehovah, because thou hast forgotten me and cast me behind thy back, thou also thy lewdness and whoredoms. Jehovah said, moreover unto me, son of man, wilt thou judge Allah and Alabiah? Then declare them unto their abominations, for they have committed adultery, and blood is in their hands. With their idols have they committed adultery, and they have caused their sons, who they bore unto me, to pass through the fire for unto them to be devoured. Like they've condemned their own family with practicing these behavior and making them think this is normal and okay to do. Moreover, this they have done unto me. They have defiled my sanctuary in the same day, and have profaned my Sabbaths. For when they have slain their children to their idols, then they came the same day into my sanctuary to profane it. And thus they have done in the midst of my house. And furthermore, ye have sent for men that come from far, and whom a messenger was sent. And lo, they came, from whom they didst wash themselves, paint thy eye, and deck themselves with ornaments, and sit thy upon a stately bed with a plate prepared it. Whereupon thou didst set my incense and my oil, and the voice of a multitude being at ease with her, and with men of the common sort, were brought drunkards from the wilderness, and they put upon the braces of him twine, and a beautiful crowns upon their heads. Then said I of her that was old in adulteries, and now will they play the harlot with her, and she with them. And they went in unto her, and as they go unto a harlot, so went they into the Allah, and unto Alabiah the lewd women. The righteous men, they shall judge them with the judgment of adulteress, and with the judgment of women they shall shed blood, because they are adulterous, and the blood is in their hands. For thus saith the Lord Jehovah, I will bring up a company against them, and I will give to them to be tossed to and fro, and robbed. And the company shall stone them with stone, and dispatch them with swords, and they shall slay their sons and daughters, and burn up their houses with fire. Thus will I cause lewdness to cease out of the land, that all women may be taught to not do after your lewdness. And they shall recompense your lewdness upon them, and shall bear the sins of your idols, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Jehovah. God is telling us, turn from your wicked ways and come to me. That Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life. And the only way to heaven is through him. So put your faith in Jesus today. What are you waiting for? God bless you.